Strange things have been happening around the world lately. People are filming phenomena never seen before. Unusual sightings and bizarre things that no one can understand. So stick around, because it's about to get weird in this video.
Stop. Oh, I see it.
It was around 3 or 4 p.m. when clouds became gray on 23rd of April in Huntsville, Alabama. People noticed some sort of illusion in the sky. It had turned a deep, vivid purple and had no obvious source. The footage showed an intense violet with what looked like a concentrated orb of purple energy, surrounded by radiating light that expanded and contracted as it moved. Ball lightning is a rare atmospheric phenomenon where electrically charged plasma forms a glowing sphere during storm conditions, but the size and the way it was moving was unlike any phenomenon ever seen. Mysterious eruption. On 11th November 2024, the quiet town of San Jose de Mulatos in Necoclí, Colombia, was shaken by a sudden mud volcano eruption. An inactive geyser suddenly became active, and a mud burst into the air, powerful enough to eject over 1,000 metric tons every second. Within moments, thick waves of mud spread across the land, eventually covering nearly 24 acres. Entire families had to evacuate, finding temporary shelter in a nearby school, while humanitarian aid was rushed to them. This was very unexpected, as environmentalists and people living there had never experienced this. Since the geyser was supposed to be inactive, such an eruption caught everyone off guard, and they don't know what started the chain reaction. Multiple phenomena. Something lit up the night sky over South Korea in February 2026. A single, razor-thin beam of blue-white light shot straight down from the clouds toward the city below. From a different angle, the same event looked like a glowing disk sitting inside the cloud layer with a smaller orb of blue light hanging beneath it. The beam lasted long enough for multiple people across the city to film it from completely different positions. South Korea had no scheduled military or government exercises that night. No official explanation followed, and the footage from all these angles together made the usual atmospheric explanations impossible. Dust Devil surprise. Among the strangest things happening around the world lately, these dust devils have definitely earned a place. Just like this one captured on camera, appeared out of nowhere in a public place, sending clothes flying and people running to safety. Though rare and short-lived, these whirlwinds can grow large enough for everyone to avoid them at all costs. They pick up dust, debris, and whatever's in their path, so it's better to just stay out of the way. Luckily, everyone was safe in this one, but still, that was wild. Unexplainable video. In this unexplainable clip, there were multiple red discs over the rooftops of Compton, California. As the discs drifted closer, they got bigger, much bigger than they looked from a distance, wide enough to swallow a city block in shadow. But the part nobody talked about as much was what was on the ground. A single red orb, the kind of thing that in UAP research gets called a probe or a survey orb, sent ahead to collect data on the ground, while the larger craft held position above. Fire rain. Look at this. Hundreds of burning sparks falling from the sky, scattering across rooftops and power lines like the sky was breaking apart. People filming had no idea what they were looking at, but it looked biblical. The simple explanation, though, fireworks that never made it high enough. When they're launched too close to buildings or at the wrong angle, they ignite low, and the sparks rain straight back down instead of bursting upward. It's happened before in densely packed neighborhoods, but knowing that doesn't make the footage any less unsettling. Real or fake? A glowing orb was filmed speeding through a parking lot in Texas, moving around with speed that defied all natural occurrences. The Spanish news channel Info7 picked it up and asked the question outright: real or AI? On the surface, it looked like ball lightning, but almost everything about this clip contradicted that. There was no storm on the 5th of October, 2025. The signs in the background didn't make sense, the kind of detail AI generation still gets wrong, and the account that posted it normally uploads gaming content. Ball lightning exists, but it doesn't behave like this.
What the fuck?
Rarest phenomena. Most people will never see one of these in their lifetime. On March 24th, 2026, someone captured what looked like a glowing giant standing above the clouds. It sounded like something mythological, and honestly, it looked like it too. These are red sprites, massive electrical bursts that fire upward from the tops of thunderstorms between 30 and 50 miles above the Earth. They last only milliseconds, which is why almost nobody ever catches them. They were only confirmed to exist in 1989 when one was accidentally caught on camera. That image makes us understand why ancient cultures thought the sky was alive. Cleveland's burning road. At 3 in the morning in Cleveland, someone pulled out their phone and filmed what looked like the street itself was on fire. Thick white smoke billowing across the road, and underneath it, a sheet of bright orange and red spreading across the ground in every direction, pushed by strong winds that kept throwing sparks further down the street. It looked apocalyptic. The wind was moving the fire along the surface like a living thing. Fortunately, everyone was fine. What caused it was never officially clarified, and the directed energy weapon theory made its rounds online almost immediately. Do you agree that we are being experimented on? Blood rain. This video shows something really bizarre. A beach in Iran turning completely red after a heavy rain. It happened on Hormuz Island, and honestly, it looks like the ocean turned into something else. No matter how strange it looks, this phenomenon actually has a natural reason behind it. The soil of this island is so rich in iron oxide, which gives it a bright red color. So when it rained, all that red soil mixed with the rainwater and flowed into the sea, leading up to this viral red beach video. Sure, it looks freaky at first glance, but in reality, it's just nature being kind of cool. Calamity of Iran. Nobody called halftime, but the game stopped anyway. Players on a football pitch in Iran looked up mid-match and saw several glowing orbs in the night sky. They weren't moving fast, but hovering in a loose formation. Iran's authorities gave no official explanation, and nothing matching the description was reported in the area that night. Jersey's blue visitor.
It's lighting up the car there, so...
A man in New Jersey stepped outside at night and found something hovering at the end of his driveway. A brilliant blue orb sitting about 2 feet off the ground, close enough that he could see it clearly without a zoom. It wasn't a drone, the light was too intense, and the movement too fluid. It hovered there for a moment, drifted, dropped closer to the ground, then shot back up and disappeared. The whole thing lasted seconds. New Jersey had been one of the most active states for unexplained aerial sightings in recent years, with hundreds of reports filed and no official answers given.
It's lighting up the car there, so...
Mysterious entity. I know this video is quite bizarre. A peculiar electrical entity was caught on camera on a railway station that was levitating over the area. There were sparks and lightning coming out of it, and it was revealed to be a ball of lightning. Theories suggest that due to the buildup of static charge, electricity had taken the shape of a ball and started moving around. Nevertheless, a very strange phenomenon. Open discussion of the day:
When I pulled my phone up and started taking the video, and then within seconds it changed. It became a huge explosion. We saw rocks in the sky that we couldn't see the sun anymore. And then when we started running, and I was screaming, "Run, run, run," to the kids, and we just tried to get as far as we could.
A hydrothermal explosion erupted at Black Diamond Pool in Yellowstone's Biscuit Basin on 31st May 2025. It sent water and debris hundreds of feet in the air, which was all captured by a tourist. The timing was unsettling because just a year earlier, on July 23rd, a much larger eruption in the same spot had damaged a boardwalk and forced safety upgrades around the area. These events occur when trapped underground water suddenly turns into steam, releasing sudden energy. This latest incident was smaller, but the fact that it happened at the same pool again has left many wondering if Biscuit Basin is growing more unstable than anyone realized. This year will give us that answer. Stay tuned to be the first to watch it happen again. Beam strikes Chile. A sharp, concentrated beam of light came straight down from the sky and hit the city below, throwing a massive flash across entire streets. Not a lightning strike, since no storm can be seen in this video, and the place it lands on also creates sparks and little fire. Experimental directed energy technology got thrown around in the comments, and honestly, it's not the worst theory given how precise it looks. Orb appears in street. A man in Chile spotted something sitting in the middle of the street at night that stopped him cold. A massive, blindingly bright orb just hovering there at road level. He did what most of us would do. He walked toward it. Then, it charged forward, and he dropped the phone and ran. The footage cuts there. Ball lightning occasionally appears at ground level during certain atmospheric conditions, but it doesn't charge at people. Green fireball. On the night of August 19th, last year, the sky above Kyushu and Shikoku in Japan turned a vivid green. Security cameras along the coastline caught a blazing fireball tearing across the night sky and lighting up everything around it. People who saw it in person described it as unlike anything they'd witnessed before. It was a fireball meteor, a much brighter version of a regular shooting star. When rock fragments from asteroids hit Earth's atmosphere at high speed, they burn up and produce exactly this kind of intense flash. The green color came from the magnesium burning inside the rock, although rare and stunning, but rarely ever seen. Mother of Gold. Trust me, the title will make sense in a few seconds. At 3:30 in the morning on October 20th, a trail camera in the forests caught something moving through the trees that had no business being there. A tall, oval ring of fire moving slowly through the woodland without burning the ground beneath it. In Brazil's Minas Gerais region, older generations had a name for something exactly like this: the Mother of Gold, a torch of fire that appears in the mountains and agricultural fields. According to those who grew up near it, it chased anyone who got too close. Whether this was a controlled burn experiment or a folklore phenomenon, the visual cannot be authenticated properly. 3 rocks, 7 days. In the span of a single week, 3 fireballs came down over the United States. California, Nevada, Arizona, and Ohio all had sightings within days of each other. But the one that got everyone talking landed in Texas. Since these meteorites broke off into clusters from only 3 rocks, the one in Texas went straight through someone's home. Scientists came out and said this was not alarming, that meteor activity happens in clusters, and the odds of a strike were always there. The homeowner now technically owns a meteorite, which is worth a considerable amount of money, and also a hole in their ceiling. Pyramids solved. Someone filmed the Great Pyramid of Giza at night and caught something that the internet couldn't stop sharing. 3 glowing orbs rose directly from the tip of the pyramid, lifting off one after another. A second camera angle from a different position showed 4 of them up there, holding formation above one of the oldest structures on Earth. The Giza complex had been a focal point of UAP speculation for decades, with researchers pointing to its precise astronomical alignment. But then again, relating people's hard work to aliens is kind of disrespectful to their efforts. Egyptians studied the stars quite intently. Something in the sky. Over Dortmund, Germany, at 3 in the morning on March 2nd, 2026, someone pointed their camera at the night sky and caught something that's hard to dismiss. A glowing, shapeless mass of light hung in the darkness, golden and flickering, almost like it was alive. No aircraft moves like that. No weather balloon glows like that. Some called it a hologram projection. Others were convinced it was something hitting the firmament. A few didn't bother with explanations at all. Sky was roaring. It was the middle of the night when this woman stepped outside and found the sky doing something it had no business doing. White and orange light kept flashing above the rooftops, switching between the two colors in rapid bursts, each one followed by a deep, thunderous roar. She was audibly frightened and had no idea what she was looking at. The most grounded explanation that came out of the comments was a power plant pressure relief valve releasing at full force, which can produce exactly that kind of light and sound under certain conditions. But at the moment, this is still a developing incident.
So we all just got woken up to some disturbing sound all through the whole area.
Darkening skies.
Oh my gosh! Look! I can see!
One moment it was a normal afternoon, and then the light just went out. When the camera zoomed in, there it was. The moon sitting perfectly in front of the sun, a black disk ringed with a halo of white light bleeding out into the sky around it. A total solar eclipse. What makes it unsettling every single time is the scale of the coincidence. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but it's also 400 times closer, which is the only reason the fit is so perfect.
Whoa, that's so cool!
Mysterious sighting. Near the University of Florida on March 24th, 2026, someone captured multiple moving orbs with a larger red disc-like thing in the middle of them. There was no pattern to these orbs. 14 individual lights visible in the same sky over a college town at 1 in the morning. Nobody filed a report that explained it. Nevada's desert flash. Out in the Nevada desert, with nothing around but dry scrub and mountains, someone caught something rising from the ground. A white shape, roughly symmetrical, with what looked like wings moving slowly up and down like it was keeping itself suspended. Then, a massive orange and yellow flash erupted so bright the person filming had to turn away, and when they looked back, the desert was empty. Whatever it was had either left or ceased to exist in that spot entirely. Brazilian mystery.
Mano, o que é aquilo? No pico do morro, tá vendo?
Over the hills of Brazil, 3 glowing reddish orbs appeared in the night sky, moving together but not in any fixed formation. Loosely, almost casually, like they were aware of each other without being locked in. They were caught blinking on camera, though that could simply be the phone's frame rate struggling to keep up with the light intensity. What rules them out as ball lightning is the behavior. Ball lightning is erratic, short-lived, and solitary. These moved with a kind of quiet coordination that felt deliberate. Military drones operating in formation are the rational reach, but military drones over civilian hills in Brazil at night with no announcement and no explanation raises its own ethical and moral questions.
Caraca, tão voando, olha. Tão juntinho.
Thing in the woods. Somewhere in the forests of the American Southeast, like Georgia or the Carolinas, someone's camera picked up something floating between the trees. A translucent, roughly circular mass hovering just above the ground, pulsating and shifting shape, but always pulling back toward that same spherical form. It wasn't solid. Light passed through it. It had no obvious source. The woods around it were completely still. Nobody in the comments could agree on what it was. A plasma anomaly? A trick of light? Something biological? It kept moving, kept changing, and the person filming kept their distance. Probably the right call. Unidentifiable anomaly. Over Mexico, something came down through the sky trailing a thick ribbon of fire and smoke behind it. Zoomed in, it looked almost frozen, suspended mid-fall, the trail coiling and twisting in a way that seemed too structured for a simple piece of debris. Zoomed out, there was no question it was descending toward the Earth, cutting diagonally through the atmosphere with that long, burning tail behind it. A meteor burning up on re-entry leaves exactly this kind of trail, and the trajectory fits. But the object at the head of it, when you look closely, doesn't break apart the way a meteor typically does. It stays intact all the way down. Painted sun. About 7 weeks ago in Portland, Oregon, someone looked up and found the sun ringed with something it doesn't normally wear. A deep blue halo sitting closest to the center, then white, then a warm orange bleeding out toward the edges, layered, almost perfectly circular, like something had drawn rings around it. This is a solar halo, caused by ice crystals suspended in the upper atmosphere, refracting sunlight at specific angles, each color bending differently, which is what creates the layered effect. It's rare enough that most people never see one this vivid in their lifetime. Circling phenomenon. Over the rooftops of Nagpur, India on the 7th of July, 2024, residents stepped outside during an overcast night and found lights moving through the clouds above them, in a circular pattern, looping around a central point with a consistency that ruled out anything random. The shape they traced together looked almost intentional. Events like this have been reported across multiple countries over the past several years, which is what makes each new one harder to dismiss. Kentucky anomaly returns. A farmer outside Bardstown, Kentucky had already been through this once. Last year it was crop circles forming in his fields and livestock behaving in ways he couldn't explain. People called it a hoax and moved on. This year he set his cameras up again ahead of planting season and caught something new. A low, glowing light moving across the field along the ground through the dry grass. Then it gathered itself and shot straight up into the sky and disappeared. AI-generated, ball lightning, or something else entirely, the debate is still going. But whatever your theory is, that sharp metallic tongue it made on the way up was awesome. Portal in sky.
I have no idea what that is.
Among the many strange and beautiful sky events caught on camera, this one from Canada has to be one of the most bizarre. This guy was just out on a walk late at night when he noticed something weird going on above him. A strange light caught his eye, so he started recording, and within moments, the sky lit up with these insanely bright light pillars. Now scientists say it's just light reflecting off ice crystals, but not everyone buys that. Some say they're portals, others call it a sign of the end times. What do you guys think?
That's the weirdest thing ever.
Weird quake. This shocking footage from Japan shows a rare natural phenomenon called liquefaction. It basically means the underground water being forced to the surface during this natural quake, and that's exactly what's happening in this video right now. This phenomenon literally turns solid ground into a slushy, unstable mess. Though it's quite fascinating, at the same time, it's a little unsettling to see the ground react like this. Red River Mystery. This chilling footage shows the Rimac River running through Lima in Peru, mysteriously turning red. Everyone was stunned at the sight of it. Even more odd, the officials insisted that it was still safe to drink. Locals were alarmed by the sudden change to the river, which is the country's most important source of water, and didn't know whom to believe. No one had any explanation for this striking sight, but some people speculated maybe it was the work of a curse. Breathing forest. A few days after the storm Babette hit Mugdock, Scotland, this guy was out walking his dog on the usual path they've walked hundreds of times. But this time, something was strangely different. Upon reaching this one point, he noticed that the forest floor literally started to move, like it was breathing. Turns out, the winds from the storm were so strong, they lifted parts of the forest ground where roots were thin, making a small part of the forest bed ride and fall like a tablecloth. The guy even said he's never seen anything like it before. It was the weirdest, but in the coolest way possible. Sardine Beach Mystery. This one's honestly kinda sad. In 2023, a whole beach in northern Japan was suddenly covered with thousands of sardines. Local media said it spanned over a kilometer, and no one really knows why it happened. Some say the fish might have hit an unexpected wave of cold water, while others believe they were exhausted after being chased by predators. Either way, the scene looked straight out of an apocalyptic movie. But still no answers about what really caused such a mass beaching. Split snowfall. In this clip, heavy snow falls from the sky, but only on one side of a bridge. The other side is perfectly clear. Not a single flake drifting down. It looks as though an invisible barrier is dividing the weather in half, leaving one side wintry and the other untouched. The sharp split makes the scene look unnatural, more like a computer effect breaking down than a real moment in nature. Mysterious sky activity. This strange clip from Prague left the internet buzzing. A massive white cube was seen slowly rotating in the sky, its reflective sides catching the daylight as it hovered above the city. The cube stayed visible for nearly 5 minutes, perfectly stable and unlike any human-made craft, before it suddenly vanished without a trace. Dozens of bystanders filmed it from different angles, stunned at the sheer size of the object. While some argued it could be an advanced drone or a secret military project, others insisted no known aircraft could move like that. Many were left wondering if they had just witnessed something not of this world. Peculiar sight. Marine cockroaches are small, land-dwelling crustaceans that live on rocky shores, and in this video that was recorded on 27th of June, 2025, shows thousands, if not millions, of these crawling crustaceans that had seemingly taken over Ha Long Bay, Vietnam. You can clearly see so many of these creepy crawlers creating an illusion where it looked like the floor was moving, and because of their immense number, the area was darkened. The same person then recorded the beach after the storm passed, showing these crustaceans crawling away and under the sand. What's weird about this is that they live on the rocks and rarely ever appear this near to the port, let alone on it. Creepy sky invasion. Late July last year brought an unsettling scene to southern Ukraine. In provinces like Zaporizhia, enormous swarms of locusts poured through the skies, so dense they looked like dark, shifting clouds. Within minutes, farmlands were stripped bare, and the insects even pushed into the cities, covering streets and buildings in a moving blanket of wings. Farmers raced to protect what little was left, but the swarm's size made it almost impossible to fight back. Farmers are still in a race against time to contain what could become much worse for their crops. Forest anomaly. A bizarre animal phenomenon took place in China on the 21st of August, 2025, where millions of silkworms were found in the middle of the forest. What unsettled people wasn't just the sheer number, but the fact that they were found randomly in the wild. Silkworms are raised on farms in Southeast Asian countries like China for silk production, and are not found in the wild, especially in such massive swarms. The local who captured the incident reported it to China Wildlife Conservation Association, who haven't been able to identify the reason behind this strange incident. Earthly phenomenon. In southern Taiwan, locals were woken early when the Wandan mud volcano erupted once again. The ground cracked open in the middle of farmland near Huangyuan Temple on 26th June, just last year, releasing thick streams of bubbling mud and methane gas. It started just after 5 in the morning and didn't stop until late in the afternoon, pouring out for nearly 11 hours straight. 4 separate vents opened up, spilling mud into nearby ditches. The village chief even had to call in a backhoe to clear the flow before it caused damage. The mud dome has erupted 10 times in just the past 3 years. Locals are so used to it that they even ignite the methane coming from the vents. The moment was captured on video by the temple's caretaker, the yellow building in the background. It's possible it will happen again this year. Angels fighting. Yeah, that title isn't wrong. The original uploader believed that to be the case. So let's look. On February 14th, 2023, someone driving on a freeway noticed lights keeping pace with their car. For 15 miles, they stayed with them, colliding into each other and producing massive bright flashes on impact, then passing straight through one another like they had no physical boundary at all. Eventually, the driver pulled over, hovering and interacting just outside the window, caught on a phone camera in real time. Ball lightning is the scientific label, but multiple ones traveling together, following a vehicle, colliding and merging for 15 consecutive miles, pushes well beyond science. Thank you for watching.